I know that for some of us, we're just meeting here today, but I'd like to start off by asking you a question, and it's a rather personal question. How many of you know someone or suffers from a mental disorder? I'm willing to bet that everyone in this room knows someone who suffers from a mental disorder, and I'm about to prove to you why. Now, maybe I should start by explaining what a mental disorder is. Anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, substance abuse, and addiction, such as alcohol or drugs, all these conditions affect the same areas of the brain by varying degrees of mental function, perception, and emotion regulation. As a matter of fact, mental illness is pretty normal. It's so normal that 1 in 4 adults actually suffers from some sort of mental disorder. So here's the thing. I would like each and every one of you to count yourself, the person to the right, the person to the left, and the person in front or behind you. That's 4, which means that 1 of you suffers from a mental disorder. But in theory, we're all high-functioning adults, correct? The World Health Organization estimates that 25% of the world's population suffers from some sort of mental disorder. That's over 70 million Americans. Just imagine, that's 8 times the city of New York City. 1 billion people worldwide. So if you do the math, everyone should know someone who suffers from a mental disorder. And the fact that many of us think that we don't reflects 3 scary truths. It demonstrates a lack of understanding and awareness about what a mental disorder is. It demonstrates the neglect and possible shame from those who suffer from mental disorders to admit their condition. And it demonstrates how mental disorders still to this day are highly stigmatized. I know what all of you are thinking. How am I involved? Well, I'm here to tell you that the stigmatization of mental disorders does not only affect the few. It's a problem that involves every single person sitting in this room. Let's begin with the fact that stigmas are created by us as a collective society. Now, the literal meaning of stigma in the English language is dishonor or disgrace. It's a scarlet letter A. It's a scarlet A letter in Hester's chest. It's a yellow star emblazoned on the clothing of Jews during Nazi Germany. They are usually affixed to such a person by the greater society, those who are known to follow cultural norms and are perceived as normal people. In our exercise, the 3 out of the 4. It's important to realize that stigmas have been an active part of society since the beginning of human civilization, and they've always served 2 main purposes: to define normality by stigmatizing that doesn't conform with it, or by removing an active group from society that isn't known to the general public, like a tumor. Émile Durkheim, a French sociologist, was the first to explore the stigma as a social phenomenon in 1895. He proposed a society filled with people who bear the right to judge only if they were exemplary individuals. Funny, right? As a society, we've devised a way to judge others. However, we do not conform to this idea of exemplary individuals. Therefore, the stigmas that we create as a collective society surrounding mental health do not have grave consequences on those suffering from mental ill health. Media and the constant ideas being fed to society are the major causes of stigmatization and discrimination. What I mean by that is that media allows for a certain story to be told, a story that seems sellable, but most of the time not true. Newscasts, newspapers, magazines, they've all gone under fire at some point or another under the pretenses that the stories being told are heightened as a way to create more views and more revenue. The stories regarding mental illnesses are no different. They exacerbate stigmas and discrimination by portraying those who suffer from mental illnesses in one of 2 ways. They're either portrayed as violent and dangerous criminals, or they are portrayed, on the other hand, as unable to live normal, fulfilled lives. This constant backlash from society negates those suffering from mental illnesses to seek for help and the treatment that's being provided under the pretenses of what others might think, resulting in social isolation, poor housing, unemployment, and poverty, which are all linked to mental ill health. For that same reason, stigmas and discrimination make it hard on those who suffer from mental ill health to find work, be in a steady long-term relationship, or simply live in decent housing, which in the long run results in exclusion from mainstream society. This is a very real problem that those suffering from mental ill health have to deal with, affecting nearly 9 out of 10 people suffering from mental health. Study published by Patrick W. Corrigan, a psychiatrist at the University of Chicago Center for Research Rehabilitation, demonstrated how magazines, newspapers, movies, books, and much more work as vehicles for communicating experiences of mental health. And most of them tend to be a misinterpretation of the experience. The way we portray mental health creates a barrier between us and them, and leads those suffering from mental ill health to suffer in one or two ways. They either hide their experiences from the public, which doubles suicide thoughts on those who suffer from depression, lowers their self-esteem, and usually causes those suffering from mental illnesses to hide in seclusion and suffer a private shame, or they are labeled as publicly mentally ill, and they suffer societal scorn, which allows for society to make fun of them, exclude them, or completely neglect them. Instead of us pushing for them to find a safe space where they feel comfortable to seek help, we make it harder on them to look for the help that's being provided. And that's the main problem. It becomes a differentiation between an us and a them. As a result, mental health stigmatization is not an issue that only affects those suffering from mental illnesses. It's a problem that involves everyone. According to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, depression is a major cause of disability, absenteeism, presenteeism, and productivity loss amongst working-age adults. It is also the most prevalent health problem affecting more than 21 million American children and adults annually. It is also estimated that the lost productivity time amongst U.S. workers due to depression costs the nation around $31 billion per year. That's a high number, one that seems simple enough to solve, but much more complex in depth. According to the National Mental Health Association, higher productivity, better performance, and more consistent work attendance and fewer workplace accidents directly correlates to healthy mental health. If a safe environment is created for those suffering from mental health, where they are able to express themselves and their concerns, a happier, healthier living is formed, thus bettering the quality of spaces such as work environments and school environments, resulting in an increase in productivity. Therefore, the stigmatization regarding mental illnesses is not a problem of a few. It does not only affect a fraction of the population, and it's a problem that we are all responsible for. Stigmatization is not a problem where a certain few are placed as being the reason behind it. It's a problem that's so deep-rooted in us and in every single person in this room that there's no way that we could place blame. It's a vicious cycle, but it does not mean that it's not one we can get out of. I'm not asking you to change the way the world works, or to completely accept everything just because it's the right thing to do, all I'm asking for you is to educate yourself, learn from the world around you, participate in discussions regarding mental health. I'd like for everyone to look at those 3 people around you and learn from them, support them, be there for them. Break the stigma, because you have the power to do so, and it's your choice. It's time to break the silence. Thank you.